What's up, brand builders? Stephen Hurahan here at brandmasteracademy.com, and in this video you're going to learn what brand activation is with top brand examples. So you can understand why modern brands are activating their experiences and get some inspiration to activate yours. Now, if you're new to the channel and you want to build brands that go beyond the visuals using strategy, psychology, and creative thinking, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. If you want to fast track your results, make sure you grab the Pro Brand Strategy Blueprint. It's a free download and the link is in the description. Now, the term brand activation has been growing in popularity over the last few years or so. Now, the first time I came across this term was about 5 or 6 years ago when I was actually doing freelance work for a brand activation agency. And they were working on a ton of really exciting projects, and those projects were all about bringing the brand to life through engaging experiences. So what is brand activation anyway? Well, brand activation is a strategy used by modern brands to bring their brand to life. Now, if you think about how noisy markets are today and how difficult it is to stand out, you have so many different options within any industry and so many different businesses vying for the attention of that market, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to get that attention. So brands are having to think outside the box, and they're having to think of their audience's day-to-day lives, what they do on a day-to-day basis, and come up with creative ways to pull them out of their monotonous routine so that they can get that engagement and they can plant a memory in the mind of their audience. So why is brand activation so important? Well, it's important because today's environment and the way we deal with brands has really changed over the past 10 or 20 years. This digital environment that we find ourselves in has almost become this virtual reality, and a lot of the relationships that we have with brands tend to be virtual, and there is a lack of tangibility to that, and it can get lost. That relationship can get lost. So brand activation is all about bringing that brand to life and bringing a tangibility to that engagement to remind the audience, hey, look, this relationship is real, our brand is real, and we're about more than just this transaction. So let's have a look at a few examples of brand activation. But before we do, don't forget to like and subscribe, and that notification bell will let you know when I release new videos just like this. Now, brand activation comes in many forms, but one of the most impactful and one of the most popular is experiential marketing. Now, experiential marketing is all about providing the audience with a memorable experience that they can take away and recall later on. And experiential marketing tends to form long-term memory structures that consumers and the audience will remember in years to come. Now, there are a few really outstanding examples of this, but none more so than Red Bull with their Stratus campaign. Now, in case you weren't around or you don't remember, Red Bull sent a skydiver up to the edge of the atmosphere and broadcast it live as he jumped out and created a world record for a skydive. And in doing that, they created a lot of scientific data for future pioneers. And because it was broadcast live, you had this huge amount of earned media coverage, and that brand experience really stuck in the minds of the audience as this skydiver jumped from space. So this is a great example of experiential marketing. And as I said, that earned some tremendous media coverage that really amplified this campaign. But of course, not everybody has a multi-million-dollar budget to be able to run experiential campaigns just like that. So let's bring this back down to earth a little bit. Now, another beverage brand, Lipton iced tea, they ran an experiential marketing campaign called Rise and Slide. And quite simply, they put a water slide in the middle of London and they ran a campaign and captured all of that and amplified that across their channels as well. And in doing that, they aligned with this feeling of summer, and that's an association that they really want within the reputation of their brand. Now, although these campaigns were both completely different, they had similarities as well. Both brands were aligning with associations that they want built into the reputation of their brand. They were both providing an out-of-the-ordinary experience for their audience, and they were both leaving long-lasting memories in the mind of their audience as well. And that is what brand activation is all about. So what's the goal of brand activation? Well, as I mentioned earlier, it's all about that engagement and grabbing that attention, but that's only the first step. Once you've done that, the goal is fourfold. The ultimate goal of brand activation is to drive consumer engagement, to drive consumer response or action, to increase brand awareness, and to increase recall and salience. Now, brand activation tend to be one-off campaigns, but if they're executed well enough, they can achieve the holy grail of brand activation, which is earned media coverage. Earned media coverage happens when a brand's marketing activity becomes newsworthy in its own right. Often with the help of PR, the news media picks up on a story of a brand's activity and reports on this activity, amplifying the reach and effectiveness of the overall campaign. Now, we all know that as a brand, you need to stand out. How many articles or videos have you come across giving you tips and tricks of how to stand out in the marketplace? But the reality is, most brands tend to do the same thing. They follow that beaten path. But if you're able to break out of that, if you're able to create a memorable experience for your audience through brand activation and plant a long-lasting memory in the mind of your audience, you might just earn that brand recall and salience and ultimately sell more stuff for your brand. Now, if you really want to get creative and give your audience an unforgettable experience, well then this video on experiential marketing will help you out. Until next time, brand like a master, and I'll see you in the next video.